Hello, welcome to another episode of Black Ice 73. I'm Black Ice 73. Today, there's a guy named Mark Ruffalo. He's an actor. Sometimes he's a person who speak up for what he think right, what he think wrong that's going on in the world. And recently, with the Israel attack on the Palestinians, Mark has said in a statement on Twitter that what Israel has done is nothing but genocide and apartheid. Me personally, I agree. But today, well, within the last 18 hours, Mark also retracted everything he said about what's going on in Israel and Palestine. He apologized. And people think that most people are bashing Mark for apologizing. No, we're coming out talking about the people who forced Mark to apologize for what he said. Because it always been, talks of saying there's a bunch of Jews who run Hollywood and television. And this, when making Mark apologize, this is just another way or another showing that it could be true. It might tell Mark it can end bad or speculated. It might tell Mark this could end bad for your career if you don't apologize or retract what you said about Israel doing apartheid and doing genocides against the Palestinians. It's a shame that we always talking about. We already know America is not freedom of speech. Only time you have freedom of speech when you say something that is not controversial or when people agree. That freedom of speech then, like, oh, I agree with this shit. So yeah, you can go ahead and talk about this. But once you're talking about the 270 people who wasn't even any kind of military conflict with Israel, who got bombed, who got killed in Palestine, freedom of speech is okay, something wrong. You can't say that. You need to go apologize. But 270 people got killed. They ain't had nothing to do with the rockets. And Israel was bombing the Palestinians in the middle of a city, people. They were dropping bombs in the middle of the city, and they didn't think like, oh, my bad. But Hamas, they in that area. You can't talk about the many hospitals that got destroyed, that wasn't occupied by Hamas. A building got destroyed that was occupied by the media, got destroyed, but we're like, well, I think the Hamas main office in the building where the media actually report what's going on in Palestine. You can't talk about that junk if you have a status in the United States. If you're not pro-Israel, you can't speak of that. You got to, oh shit, I'm sorry. What I said about Israel, I didn't mean it. Yeah. They can't talk about it. And we can't talk about how we have some of the poorest states in the United States send hundreds of millions of dollars to Israel each year for weapons. But the school reform, education, healthcare, and all other stuff that America need is down, but hundreds of millions from them poorest states still $100 million from them poorest states still get sent to Israel for military every year. People, Israel received $4 billion every year from the United States. That would have beat $4 billion. But at the same time, they're saying, well, by 2030, we might run out of Social Security. Or that says well, Healthcare need to be they need to raise prices in healthcare because a lot of people go to the hospital. But Israel is the same country who also pay for their people health care through taxes and stuff. You know, them people ain't got no damn health insurance. You know how like Canada, the people go to the darn doctor. Sometimes they got to schedule. Sometimes they can't go like a month and a half, 2 months. But they go to the doctor and go to the hospital to be seen. Don't leave no bill. But the United States, one of the most powerful countries in the world, shit, one visit in the hospital, you can leave with a damn $10,000 bill. But most Americans can't pay it. But these same Americans who go out there and work, their tax money get shipped to Israel, get shipped to France. We have money in the United States getting shipped all over the world, but you still got people who living out on the street. But there ain't no popular conversation to talk about. Because we got to send them $4 billion to Israel. You know, every time the United States, build a new jet like the F-38, you know who's going to be one of the first countries to get it? Oh, yeah, you already know. Israel. Israel is one of the first countries to get every new toy the United States built. But F-38 is not cheap, people. I think that one of the jets that Trump had stopped for a little while because he said, hey, this costs too much damn money just for one jet. The F-38. And according to Google, one of the articles I just seen, Israel received from 1948. You know how I've been saying like Israel country was made up in 1948 in the 1940s after World War II. Since 1948, Israel has received over $100 and some billion from the United States. This not alone. They have received $140 some billion from the United States. Just for weapons, I guess. But these same, and the crazy part is you'll think it coming from the federal income. No, it coming from state income. Every damn state have to send millions of dollars to Israel every year. Have to. But you got some of these damn schools in the United States is one of the poorest. It's not poor because it's a black community or white community. Poor because it's a black community and a white community. United States has ran off of how much money you bring in a year. Like you move to the suburbs and you move into like what $70,000 in the up middle class neighborhood. Your children gonna be going to a pretty good school in most cases. But you live in the slum, your children gonna get a slum education. But they always say we don't have the money to send them. You know, they don't have the money to invest into the schools because hey, we don't have that money. But we got to still send that $50 to $60 million to Israel every day. This ain't no bashing on Israel neither. Don't get me wrong. I've been to that country twice. I enjoyed that country. I ain't gonna lie to you. I had a good time all over there. But we still got to stop turning the blind eye, saying the shit they doing, the bombing they doing to the Palestinian people who innocent. Because you got to stop saying, oh, we made a mistake. Hamas live in a neighborhood. Because you got the weapons and the technology to go in there and defeat Hamas. I'm talking about the people. I ain't talking about the people in the building that stand there, but they building get knocked down. 4-story building get knocked down. Now, the report I seen, they said over 100-some thousand people is homeless because all the buildings got knocked down. Homeless. They living in a refugees camp. And then, as you heard earlier in the conflict, some of the refugees camp got bombed. They're like, oops, we made a mistake. People, when you blow up a refugee camp, that is not a oops. It's not a oops, we made a mistake. A oops made a mistake. You're knocking the milk on the damn floor. Or you spitting water. That's a oops, we made a mistake. But killing 270 innocent people, that's not a oops, people. And I ain't telling, I'm not advocating for the United States to stop giving money to Israel. I'm not. I know Israel live in a terrible part of the world. The Jews are in the terrible part of the world surrounded by Muslims. So they need the they need a defense fund. But they don't need some of the poorest down states in the United States sending out millions of dollars. When I'm talking about, you know how they always say Mississippi, Alabama, and Arkansas, places like that. Like, ooh, they got some lower educated people down there. But that same damn money that money going to Israel instead of going to them kids. It's going to them kids. It's not going to them. But you know what going to the kid? The big ass prison. They're making them prison larger and larger. But like I said, I'm not here to bash Israel. Because, you know, they got a strong argument of saying they got to defend themselves. But at the same time, that prime minister there should be held on war crimes for all the innocent people that get killed every year. That prime minister should be held on that. Because it's not, you can't justify you just dropping, you're getting a drone to drop a bomb in the middle of a darn city. Or you have tanks shooting inside a city where they're being occupied by a bunch of civilians. Yeah, there's no justification for that, people. If you find some justification for that, prove me wrong. Just go ahead and say, hey, man, you're wrong, man. They had to do this. I don't see no reason to do that. Shit. We get pissed off as you didn't see what happened in Missouri when Mike Brown got killed. The whole United States was in an uproar. Well, not the whole United States. Part of the United States was in an uproar when the Missouri Ferguson Police Department came in with an armored vehicle with a water tank and had some sniper on top of the roof. People went crazy. What kind of military style vehicle y'all using here in the United States? People, they had a water cannon on that shit in Ferguson. They don't have no water cannon that in Israel. They have live missiles. They have machine gun people ready to fire. Y'all see them most of the time. You see the Palestinians and the Israel soldier getting into it. Palestinians throwing rocks at them, shooting slingshots, shooting rocks out of a slingshot at the damn military. And the military chain fire with live rounds, live automatic rounds into the crowd. People, this is like a damn grown person fighting against children. I know some of the rockets that Hamas shoot. No rockets is so, it's not accurate at all, people. Like I said in the other video, they can shoot 1,000 rockets. Israel gonna knock down about 900 of them rockets with their defense. And then maybe 100 rockets gonna be landing in the damn desert somewhere because it's not precision. Not at all. Out of the whole conflict, I think they said a handful of people from Israel died. A handful. You see the big ass hand right here? A handful of people died in Israel. We had 270 people in Palestine died. It's not a fair fight, people. It's not a fair fight. And all this shit is happening over maybe a block. When I say a block, you know how in the United States you're like, yo, I had to walk 2 blocks to go to the store. They fight over a block. It's not even. That's the piece of land they fight over It's not even a quarter of a mile wide. They find over a piece of land. And the crazy part is, the Palestinians who live there were living there way before that. They just said, a judge said, hey, this Israel land now. I declare this land belong to the Israel Jews. Or I declare this land belong to the Jews. So the Israel, the Palestinians need to go. Palestinians, like, it's been in my family for centuries. And the people, they're like, shit, we ain't going nowhere. All because of a block, maybe a quarter wide land, people. Shit crazy. 207 people lost their lives because a judge said, make these people move. Make these people go. Shit crazy. But when you see it on the TV, like, you see, look at all these hundreds of rockets being shot by the Hamas into Israel. Then they show like, oh shit, look at all these hundreds of rockets Hamas shooting at Israel getting shot down. But all the bombings you seen, all the buildings you seen being bombed and collapsed, that shit came from Israel into Palestine. People, they blow down buildings. I ain't talking about one building. You know that one building they love showing, talking about that one part blow off and that part right there blew off. Nah, that just was one. A many that got blew up. Over a piece of land. Piece of land that were already occupied by families. People. The prime minister in Israel not held on war crime. I don't think no dictator in the world should be held on war crimes. The shit they did to Saddam Hussein, they shouldn't do that shit to him. What's the difference between what Saddam did to his people in northern Iraq than what Israel do to the Palestinians every year? What's the difference? Saddam killed people in northern Iraq. He got persecuted for it, put on trial, hung. People even recorded the man being hung and spread it across the internet. But what happened in Israel when they send them bombs and kill them people every year? Every year. I know we seem to forget Israel do this shit every year. Every year. Same prime minister every year. Send in bombs and say, hey, y'all go ahead and do this. I think this is a stronghold for the Hamas. I think so. So they say, boom, that shit up. Every year he do it. But what happened to him? Nothing. He get like President Joseph Biden said, hey, I think they need to do a peace fire. You think I'm lying? That was Joe Biden said. I think they need to negotiate a peace fire. I think we need to send, you hear me? I think we need to send people over there to get a peace fire. The only reason them people got this peace fire right now, because Egypt sent some people in there and said, hey man, y'all need to stop this shit. Y'all killing each other over some bullshit. Y'all need to stop this shit. And boom, you had a ceasefire within 24 hours. Because they asked the president from Israel, so did the United States have any part of this ceasefire? He said, hell no. He didn't say hell no, but he pretty much said, hell no. Joe Biden didn't have shit to do with it. Egypt sent somebody over there. We all agreed, like, yeah, this is bullshit right here. This is stupid what we doing. So we stopped it. Israel don't respect the United States. Israel just want that money. Send that money. Send that money. That's all. It's just like that damn that dad that the children don't like, that divorced their mom, but they need some money. They call dad, hey dad, send that money. Why you ain't send that child support? United States, it's the damn dad of Israel paying child support to them every year. $4 billion worth of child support. But child support every year. And Israel don't respect the United States. Not at all. But that's the damn, that's the shit they go through every year. I don't know. But after this ceasefire, if nothing else don't happen this year, you can look forward to 2022 in the spring that Israel do the same shit to the Palestinians over a piece of land. People. The land is not, just think about the major football field. Think about a football field. They pretty much killing people over a piece of land by that side. 100 yards. 100 freaking yards, people. And that's a damn shame. But it's justified in the eyes of the world, I guess. Hey, thank you for watching the video. And once again, I'm not doing this video to bash Israel. I'm doing this to bash Israel Prime Minister. Because he on some bullshit. You know them people don't need to kill them innocent people. Seeing young children getting pulled out the rubble because the building don't collapse on their head over a damn bombing. People, this is not a war crime. I don't know what the hell a war crime is. I don't care. I don't know what the hell a war crime is. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for putting up with me speaking. And I hope you all have a great day. Y'all be safe and stay on your own property, people. Gotta see what land can get you killed. I'll talk to y'all later.